Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for coming in. Um, my name's Lauren. I've been with Archer for just over a year and a half. I like saying that because even though I haven't been with Archer for very long, I've learned a lot and I like sharing what I've learned with other people. And I really like helping new agents as they come in to get their foot in the ground and give you the resources you need. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? So we are here to learn how to make a quote. So I always say this for um, anything that I share um, methods wise. This is the way I do this. You can make it your own. Other people do it differently. This is just how what I have found to work for me, and it might work for you, or you can tweak it and make it your own. Um, but you do not have to do it exactly like this. Make it your own. We encourage you to do that. Okay. Find a way that works best for you. So these are a couple of things that you're going to want in a quote to provide to a client. Um, I recommend whether it's using Google Docs or Microsoft Word. I'm a Google girly, so I really like Google Docs. It'll work on both. Make a template that you make a copy of each time. That way you don't have to start from scratch every single time. I'll show you my template in a minute, but these are some things that you should include in your quote and therefore include in your template as you create it. So you can have your header. In your header, again, make it your own, but this is how I have it. I'm gonna have my logo over here. Be sure to include your business name as well as your personal name if it's different from your uh, business name. Um, your contact info, whether it's one form of contact information or multiple. Don't overload it, but give them some options. And then you're gonna want to say the date of your quote. This is important because, you know, prices change. So if, and this has happened a lot, where you give a client a quote and they're not sure that immediate day, but a week later they're like, okay, I'm ready to book this. Chances are the prices is going to be different. Hopefully not by much, so you don't have to do another quote. Um, but you know, it happens. So it's important to have the date there. Um, I have a paragraph on the first page of my quote. Um, provide an overstatement summary of what your quote is going to include. Um, be sure to thank your client for trusting them or them trusting you to help plan this trip. A lot of people don't think, or some agents don't think from the client perspective, where they're putting a lot of trust in us. Because you know they could go and do it themselves, but they're trusting us to help plan their trip. So be sure to thank the client for putting their trust into you. Make sure to state what is included below in your quote, whether it's just a single night hotel stay, if you included flights. You can go into details later, but include what it is, um, car, whatever the package is. Include in your statement how many people you're making this quote for, because the price for 2 people is going to be vastly different for 6 people. So make sure it's very clear for the client for how many people this money is going to cover. And then obviously the dates. So I feel this is also very important to have a statement saying how the prices and the availability, especially, may change between now and the time of booking. So, like I said, you can provide a quote to a client and they not be sure if they're ready to commit until a week later. Those flights, that room, that package might no longer be available, and you might have to do a whole new quote. So just make sure that you have a statement somewhere saying, hey, this isn't guaranteed. This this may no it's subject to availability, and it might change by the time you want to book. Also indicate how, if you're going to include photos, not everyone includes photos in their quotes. I like to, because it helps the client make a decision. Indicate how hotel rooms, the cruise ship, the resorts, any facilities, they may slightly differ from the photos that you had access to. So all of that information is really great to have in a quote. So this is my quote template. I recently added this because I found that I constantly made changes to this instead of making a copy of my template to make a quote for a client. So I had to keep clicking the back button to clear it. So I have my logo over here. I have my business name, my phone number, and my email. And then on the quote, I would include the date when applicable. Well, every quote you're going to put the date, but the applicable date. There we go. That's what I meant to say. So I have a general statement thanking them for choosing me to help with plan their vacation. I indicate the number of adults or the number of children, if there are children. And then I also, in the beginning statement, I like to say, so if they're flying, I'll say from Detroit to Dallas, or from Phoenix to Orlando. So that would be the destination. And then I would put the dates here. So from October 2nd to October 12th. I say, it is a pleasure assisting you in your planning process. The following information details a quote, including whatever is included in their quote. Please review your quote and contact me directly in order to proceed with booking. I will make changes, upgrades, and additions as necessary. Let's get your trip finalized, and so you can focus on the best part of the vacation, enjoying yourself. I look forward to speaking with you. Don't need to go into a whole lot of detail for the overview. Keep it short and sweet. Sometimes if I have flights in my quote, I'll use this area, this space, so I don't waste a whole space. I try to keep my information. So if I'm giving quotes for multiple hotels as options, I will usually try to fit as much of that information on one page and try and keep it formatted so that there's no confusion. Hey, this page is about one hotel, this page is about another hotel. So if I'm not really doing flights, I leave this blank personally. Again, your format is going to be your own. This is where I have my my statements advising pricing and availability may change, as well as the photos may differ from reality. So let's do a mock booking quote, shall we? Let's, like I said, I had to add this for my own personal benefit because I just kept starting right away from there. So I'm going to make a copy. And I didn't want it in forms, but that's okay. I can delete it later. Okay, I need to move this. There we go. Yay. Okay, I like that better. Okay, so I already have my Close these two. I have my Expedia tab open. That's just the format that I'm going to do to create a quote with you. So go ahead and open your Expedia tab. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that while I sign in. And again, I just decided to use Expedia Tap. I like using Expedia Tap and Vax for packages, so I'm going to do a package quote with you guys. We're gonna hop over to packages. I want to include car. So let's go from Baltimore to Las Vegas. I recently helped my sister's friend save $300 on her hotel for Vegas, so that was very nice. Let's do some extra time. Let's go for next month, and we'll just do a standard 5-day trip. We'll stick with the 2 travelers for now. No kids, we'll just do 2 adults. Okay, so I'm going to take away that part. I'm going to say we're doing for 2 adults. Another thing you can also do when having your template, in addition to your template, when you email your quote, be sure to be a little more personal in the actual email. But the quote PDF, you can be fairly professional. Let's see, Baltimore to Las Vegas from, what were the dates I said? October 14th to the 18th. Be sure to put the year. And today's date is 8/31/2024. We are doing hotel stay, round trip flights for 2 adults. Wow. For 2 adults and car rental. I love all of these options. So I'm going to basically pretend like I'm still doing a quote for my sister's friend. So their budget was $1,000. Personally, again, this is the way I do things, to each their own. When somebody gives me a budget, I try to provide well-rounded, but I don't do anything exaggerative. So if their budget is 1,000, I'm not going to show them something for 200. However, so I try to give them 2 or 3 examples under or at their budget. And then, especially if we've communicated that their budget is not strict, I'll provide 1 or 2 locations or packages of hotels for this situation slightly above their budget. So again, my sister's friend, she told me her budget was actually $1,000, but it wasn't a tight budget, and they had a little bit of wiggle room. They ended up booking a hotel that was 1,300. So I still saved them money, but they ended up spending a little bit more because they saw the value in that, in paying a little bit more for that hotel. So it's always good to give a variety. I want to say breakfast included. I tend to sort by price, but then I also sort by rating. So I rarely do anything lower than a recommended 8 rating. So this is the cheapest option for this, but it also has an exceptional rating. So this is going to be a great option. And then, okay, so a lot of easy copying, pasting. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sometimes I like to, I forgot, that's where my flights are going to go. New page. Sometimes I like to include um, the rating, especially if it's a really good rating. For Vax, they show, for example, if it's a 4 or 5 star hotel. Oh, they do it here too. I forgot about that. So we can say um, that this is a 3.5 star hotel. So it's not anything too upscale, but it has great ratings at a 9.4 out of 10. I don't want 3.5 star hotel. It has, what was it, 9.4? Yes, 9.4 out of 10 rating. Whoa, I don't know why I did that. On Expedia. So on Expedia, the ratings are with Expedia. On Vax, those ratings, they I think they go up to a 5 instead of a 10. Those are with TripAdvisor, just as a little PSA. Okay. I really, really like using Expedia's photos. I try to give a well-rounded representation of the hotel. Um, Usually I like to give a picture of what it looks like outside. If it has a pool, I like to include a photo of the pool. Um, Obviously show a photo of their room. And then if a hotel or resort has a restaurant, I like to include a photo of the restaurant. That kind of gives them a pretty good um, quick view of the hotel. I do know not every agent um, says the name of the hotel. That is perfectly fine. That is up to you. I personally don't like to um, hide any information from my clients. Again, that's a personal opinion and to each their own. So the outside isn't really anything special, but I'll still include it because that way they know what they're going to see as they arrive to the hotel. Got to give a little more room for the photos. And since it's just the two of them, um, the choice of room isn't going to be dire, meaning what kinds of beds they have, whether it's a king or two doubles. But since the cheapest is already going to be a king, we'll do that. I like to look and see what photo it's showing for the king or that specific room that I'm going to quote. And then we go and find it up here. So that's the same photo. And I have a picture of the pool. Usually, this one doesn't have it, but usually for Expedia Tap hotel listings, a lot of them have categories for their photos. So they'll have exterior and pool and dining and rooms. I'm not sure why they don't have that here. They have a lot of pictures of their food, but not of the actual restaurant. So they might not have an actual restaurant. They might just have breakfast included. They do have a bar, though. They do have a restaurant. So you know what? I'm going to include that photo of the bar. Okay. So we're going to say, because they're going to be getting that king room, but I like to use the actual name the hotel uses for that room. So this hotel calls this room a basic single room. And I also like to include hotel highlights, especially when it comes to resorts. This really helps people narrow down their choices. So we saw that this has a bar and a pool, and it has a gym, free Wi-Fi, and I don't usually include when it has business services. So that's usually like they have the free computer use in the lobby. Unless they're going for business, I don't see a need to add that information. Okay. So that's what we have for one of their rooms or one of the hotels that's pretty simple that they can add. So we're going to use this. What I usually do for quotes, I try to stick with one flight, but give multiple examples or choices, options for the hotels. Um, when it comes, it's just one, it's less work for you and it's less decision making for the client. Don't want to overload them with too many choices. um, Especially if your clients have expressed whether it's a time preference for their flight, whether they want to leave um, in the late morning, or if they've expressed, hey, I really, really, really want to fly Delta. I don't really want to fly anything else. That already narrows down the fact that they're going to be making less choices. So I usually stick to one uh, flight quote. Um, we're going to say morning departure. I personally prefer to fly in the morning. That way I have more time at my destination. But I don't like leaving too early. I don't like the 5 a.m. flights. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't like waking up that early. Um, so I'm going to do this one. Be sure to note when you're doing your quotes on whatever platform you're using, if these prices are non-refundable. You can still quote them to your client. Just make sure that they know that these are non-refundable flights. So I'm going to note that right now. I don't want bold. Also pay attention to the layovers. Be sure to tell your clients, many clients don't like layovers. Be sure to tell them layovers tend to save you money. So if you're willing to spend a little bit of time in the airport, some people are not willing to spend 7 hours though. That's a long time to spend in an airport. But be sure to tell them it could save you money. Little travel tip right there. Okay, so now it's going from the flight straight to the car. And since it's just the two of them, I don't really like doing these specials because you don't get to choose the um it's not um what's the word I'm looking for? Is it guaranteed? I try not to do the compact cars unless the client is asking for one. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to want something too small. So a mid-size is usually a good go-to, even if it's just for two people. Because keep in mind, they're going to have luggage. And then you would go through any information, but we're just doing a quote right now. So let's look at all of this information. Let's look at our flights. So we have our departure. I don't, again, don't want to overload them with too much information. Some some agents will provide the flight number as, in their quote. I personally don't. And we're going to, oh, stop it. Okay, I guess I have to type it in. Okay, so flights. I like to make my flights into a side-by-side column. Oop, oop, oop. Okay, so we're going to put the information in first. Okay, so departure. That's going to be Monday, October 14th. We are going on, I'm going to put that right there. We are going with Delta. We're going from BWI to LAS. And then we add our times. So 11:55 a.m. to 3:50 p.m. 11:50. What was it? 11:55. I'm gonna close that. I keep going there. 11:55 to, actually, you know what? Oh, there it is. Okay. Um, and again, this is just an example, but I probably wouldn't have actually booked this flight, but I'll just continue as an example because that's a very long layover. But just for example purposes, I'll continue instead of searching for another flight. 11:55 to, I keep forgetting, 3:50? Yes, 3:50. Okay. 3:50 p.m. Make sure to note that there is a layover. And actually on this, I'm also going to state that there's a time change. MSP, 6 hour, what was it, 55 minutes? Yeah, 55-minute layover in MSP. They can always ask or look up what MSP is. You can also just state that that is Minneapolis, St. Paul. For all intents and purposes right now, I'm fine with just leaving it like that. And then the return flight. Is going to be with Frontier. It's going to be Friday the 18th. From LAS back to BWI. And if any of your clients are interested in multi-destination as a sidebar note, I'm not sure how to do it on tap, but I do know that you can do it for sure in VAX. Okay, so that flight is 12:59 a. Again, I wouldn't have chosen this flight either. Oh goodness. Again, just using it as an example. Oh goodness. Unless they specifically asked for something like this, then obviously I would provide them with this as an option. But not, I don't know too many people who would want to be at the airport for a 1 a.m. flight. 1:53 p.m. 43. And it has a 9 hour, 44 minutes. In Denver. And these flights were refundable. Or this flight was. It didn't show the non-refundable, so I won't add that part. Again, you can add more flight options. Just make sure you keep together so you can do like flight option 1 and then do because this is what I actually like to do. Make it into columns so that they're side by side. And then if I wanted to do another show them another flight option, I have a little bit more room down here and they're nice to and together. Okay, so, and actually, because you can either do another flight option or we have plenty of space to put our car rental there. Isn't that nice? And we chose Alamo Rent-A-Car. And it will be, it was a midsize sedan. Some people, especially me, it's really nice to give an example so that they can understand the size. And I believe this one said it was a Toyota Corolla or similar. So like a midsize SUV would probably be an Equinox or an Escape or similar. And then the information, so pickup is going to be Monday, October 14th at 4:30. Usually these automatic times give a decent amount of time for them to grab their luggage and make it to the um, terminal where the car rental is. You notice their flight is would this flight would supposed to be getting in at just before 4 o'clock, and they have about a half hour to actually a little more than a half hour to go grab their luggage and make their way to the car rental location. You can also adjust it yourself, I believe. Most of the time you can, because that should be. Oh, this is kind of important. Some uh, some locations with the bigger airports, um, yeah, shuttle. Um, the larger airports don't always have the car rentals in close proximity to the terminals. So that's kind of important information to provide to your clients. October 17th. I'm sorry, 18th. No, no, okay. It was because we had a 1 a.m. flight. That's right. So that's why it's going to be a Thursday night drop off. That's right. I chose weird flights and I apologize for that. But again, this is just an example, not a real booking. And for the pickups and drop offs, you can drop off before this time and you can pick up after this time, but you can't pick up before and you can't drop off after, or you'll be charged for the dropping off after 11:15 p.m. Okay, so this is a quote we have for a make-believe client who is planning a trip for two adults from Baltimore to Las Vegas from October 13th to the 18th of this year. They are wanting hotel stay, round trip flights for adults, for two adults, excuse me, and car rental. So we have their flight one flight option here. We have their car rental information. We have one option for their hotel stay. Again, I usually give more than one hotel. I don't think you should ever just give one hotel. And then at the bottom or at the top, either or, you're going to provide the full amount due. So they got a package savings, these make-believe clients. Total package price. If there is ever a deposit due before, so like you have a deposit and then you pay the rest later, make sure to include that information as well by stating this is what's due today, this is what's due, the final amount on this day. But that's not the case this time, so we only need to provide the total quote. And then they give your commissions over here. Does anybody have any questions? Again, this is how I do it. Make it your own, find a way that works for you. All right, one more chance for if anybody has any questions about making a quote. Okay, if not, everybody have a good rest of your day and good luck